Jim, how are you, man?
Pretty good. How about you?
All right, sir. Man, welcome to the town of Sonoya.
I love it down here.
Man, ain't it cool?
A lot of atmosphere.
A nice setting for a car show.
It's wonderful, man. It's a great, especially if you like zombies.
Well, yeah, I've heard that about the show. The show
The area,
last year when we were here. Yeah, that we did mention some zombies, and I didn't see any, just car zombies.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you a car zombie, man?
I love it. I'm definitely a car zombie.
Sir, looking at your hot rod here, I'd imagine you have hot rod madness because I'm looking at the thing going, wow, that's beautiful, man.
It's my passion. I mean, a lot of people play golf or hunt,
Yeah.
but this car restoration is what I do for fun.
Wow, a Pantera, man.
It's I was lucky. I found it in a barn. This truly is a barn find. It
Yeah.
was in Palmetto, Georgia,
Okay.
just in a barn. And the guy didn't want to sell it at first. It took a few months of prodding, but he eventually agreed to sell it. So
Okay.
that's been about 3 years ago. It's been a long process.
3 years.
Panteras were horrible for rust. A lot of older cars are, but Panteras were really bad for rust.
So were the floor pans gone in it?
Oh God, yeah. Most of the frame, I wouldn't have actually driven it without all the frame had to be replaced. The door pans and a lot of cosmetic steel was in pretty bad shape. And I enjoy the metal fabrication, so I made all the metal parts that I had to have.
Wow. All right, a fabricator.
Yeah, I love that.
Man, that's cool. Let's step a little closer, man. Check it out. So, was this an original red car?
No, it was white original, and I wanted to do original color if possible, but I just couldn't stand the white.
Yeah.
I wanted a red car, and
Yeah.
I did a lot of research, and this is actually a GM color. It's called Super Red.
Super red.
I wanted as red as I could get it, and that's what I wound up with.
It does look super, Jim. I tell you what, buddy, that's a fantastic ride. Now, are you sporting the original Ford engine in it?
The engine was gone. The transaxle was gone too when I got it, so it's not original. It is a period correct. It was I think I got a 72 Cleveland engine, which is what
Okay.
the cars came with, the 351 Cleveland.
Yes, sir.
And but it's not the original.
Now, where'd you find another transaxle, or did you just have that one rebuilt?
That was a toughie. I've actually, Panteras, there's a lot of Panteras in California.
Okay.
So I actually had a friend of mine that he lives in Reno, Nevada, and he found one on the POCA, which is the Pantera Owners Club of America, their site.
Yeah.
And I bought it from a guy in California.
All right, and I'm also wondering, where in the world are you going to find sheet metal for this thing unless you just hand fabricate it from scratch?
There's actually 4 or 5 sites that specifically sell Pantera parts. Like I said, for me, I enjoy the metal fabrication part, so
Yeah, man.
making the parts is kind of half the fun to me.
That's
But
cool.
but if you found one and wanted to restore it, there's a lot of sites, or a number, 3 or 4 sites that sell most of the parts you're going to need. There are a few parts I had a hard time with, but that's kind of probably goes with the territory of restoring old cars. You're going to have some parts that are just going to be hard to find.
Yeah, of course. And the wheel choice?
I saw those on another
Yeah.
Pantera on a picture of
Okay.
a car show,
Yeah.
and I loved them. I
Yeah.
actually wanted the original. I like the larger wheel versus the 15-inch, which is what came. But and they have an option for a 17-inch that mimics the original look. But my wife saw these, and she's like, "Oh, no, you got to have these."
You got to put these on
So
there.
that's-
That's what she told
that's
you.
how
huh?
that happened.
There you go.
And I like them myself. They
Wow.
look good, but
What's the name of them? I don't recognize the emblem on the center cap.
well, that's actually a Pantera emblem.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just one of the 3 or 4 main Pantera sites. It's actually
Okay.
precision performance or something. There's Hall and 3 or 4 sites, but I got it directly from one of the sites.
All right. Man, let's open this thing up. I want to check out the engine bay, the trunk, the interior. If you're not familiar with Panteras like I am, you would love to see this.
Here's the engine.
That's no engine, pal.
I forgot. This is a rear engine car.
That's no engine bay.
All right, so
Nah, this is sports the wheelwood brake booster and the master cylinder and the battery and all that good stuff. And the fire extinguisher. You never know when you might need one of those.
well, it's just a horror when you have especially when it's a fresh rebuild.
Yeah.
You worry about, did I get all the wires protected? So the last thing you want to do is stand on the side of the road and
Oh,
watch
man,
your car
watch it
burn
burn.
up. So I'm going to have a fire extinguisher.
That would be bad.
That or a cold Coca-Cola or something.
Yeah. Okay, so your twin fans are up front cooling this thing.
It has twin cooling tubes that run under the car
Wow.
to the front to connect it to the engine.
All right, do those tubes run through the frame or
They're
next
under
to
it. You can
Okay.
actually look under the car and see them exposed.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow, that's a lot of coolant. Ain't it?
Oh, yes,
How many
yes.
gallons of coolant does it hold?
I don't know, but
Don't
I'll
know.
say this. I had several hoses as I was fitting everything blow out, and I'd
Right.
have antifreeze all over the
Wow.
place. So I had to buy. I kept antifreeze in business for a while.
I'll bet, man. That's pretty crazy stuff. All right.
All right, so
Have you-
here's the engine in the
Yeah,
back.
Yep. Oh man, that's nicely detailed too, buddy. That
Yeah.
looks great.
I did a lot of little custom things that are usually on a Pantera. People will notice you have the cooling tank that's mounted right next to the motor, and I moved all that stuff over and put it behind a stainless steel panel to
Okay.
kind of clean the engine bay up.
Yeah.
And I built a little truss. The factory has just one brace, and I built a little double brace. It's a pretty common thing to see a little more of an extended brace system because Panteras are known for flex back here.
Okay.
So I custom built all that too.
Yeah, that's just a different type of build, man. When you got the power plant right behind your head, sitting in that thing, man.
And what I
That's
did
awesome.
for a change of pace is I actually built. People have heard the term. I had, but I had no experience with it. Cleaver, and that's what this is. Actually, it's a Windsor block and a Cleveland top end. And the Cleveland was known for racing. It was a great race engine, but they weren't a very good street motor because they have to have the RPMs up to get the horsepower. Well, you can't run around the street 5,000-6,000 RPM.
Right.
So one way you offset that is to stroke the motor, but you could only stroke a Cleveland to 408. So but if you make it a cleaver, you can stroke it all the way to 450 something. This is about 425.
A cleaver.
Yeah, cleaver.
Okay.
Cleveland top end because they had the huge heads.
Okay.
It breathes real well, and a Windsor bottom end so you could stroke it to a bigger engine.
Right. Okay. With all that said, I know you've taken that engine in and out before.
Oh my God!
I'm looking at how you gonna get it in and out. I mean, half of it's underneath the back windshield, I guess. Yeah.
I'll say this: as far as engines, I've put a number of engines in hot rods and other cars
Yeah,
before. This was the most challenging, and I really didn't see it coming until we got into it. But we pushed it in with a cherry picker as far as we could, and we were still probably 1.5 feet shy.
Right.
We actually were hitting the top of the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up here with the cherry picker, so we couldn't get all the way in position. So we actually had to sit the engine on blocks and jack stands and move the cherry picker out and then jack the car up and roll the car back to get the engine positioned. It was like I couldn't fit the engine in the car. I had to fit the car to the engine. Very usual, very unusual, very different. But that's the only way it could be done.
I could imagine, sir. Man, it's super clean back here. Wonderful job. I can tell you're really talented at sheet metal work, buddy. That looks good.
I appreciate that.
Very nice.